It's becoming almost inevitable that mental health issues will rise dramatically in the coming years. The pace of social, technological, individual, geopolitical, and economic transformation has already far exceeded the human brain's natural adaptive capacity. Although we can sustain for a while some rhythms of life the brain is not wired to handle, our neurobiology evolved for gradual change, not for the relentless acceleration of algorithms, social pressure, and digital overstimulation that now defines our lives. Yes, we are wonderful adaptive organisms, but any adaptation process requires time, understanding, and a decent quality of information processing. Stress is also an adaptive response, but in the context where individuals have to adapt perpetually to the new information that hits their brains, stress becomes chronic. The behavior and psychology that have to adapt to chronic stress can only be inherently maladaptive. As a result of the velocity of our times, chronic stress, diffuse insecurities, and a growing sense of disorientation are not isolated phenomena. They are symptoms of a deeper systemic mismatch between human cognition and the world it has built. They are becoming the normal, often even the accepted. We live in increasingly neurotic and neurotoxic information environments, such as digital ecosystems that fragment attention, erode reflection, manipulate emotional responses, and mix almost perpetually with the information environment we have inwardly in our cognition, such as thought processes, emotionality, sensations, strong views, individual heuristics, opinions, and beliefs. The very act of thinking itself has become endangered, actually facing extinction from the context we call normality. What we call mind is becoming more and more a psychological and sensorial wasteland of information overload, cognitive dissonance, rubbish data, anxieties, and contradictions. This is not an hyperbole or an exaggerated claim. This is de facto the path to enter the age of cognitive dysphoria, a time when our capability to think clearly, feel intelligently, and orient meaningfully is under sustained, systematic, I will even say systemic erosion. So the question we all should ask ourselves emerges: are we prepared to handle this? The answer is not at all. In fact, we are moving in the opposite direction instead, meaning outsourcing our reasoning processes to machines, emotions to validation loops, and the critical judgment to groupthink dynamics, echo chamber-based fictitious islands of conformity, whether characterized by spiritual, new agey, political, religious, or simply ideological views. The result is a collective and individual loss of cognitive agency, in the sense of the ability to think and find out for ourselves deductively, disguised as progress. Unless a profound cultural shift occurs, but not some illusion of spiritual awakening or a political delusion of hope and change, or some sort of restyled religious faith. But rather one grounded in metacognition, emotional literacy, critical introspection, self-inquiry, and reasoned awareness. If none of this will happen, mental health decline will not simply persist and get worse. It will merely become one of the defining characteristics of modern civilization. Culture cannot transform authentically without individuals transforming first. Each mind must understand to think seriously about the dynamics and the patterns of its own thinking. To refine awareness, question its conditioning, examine its emotional interferences based on cognitive fallacies, and rebuild intelligence from within. The future of mental health and perhaps of human coherence itself depends on whether we can do this, whether we can bring about this shift in various forms, such as individually and consequently by building an educational infrastructure to provide the present and the future people the necessary orientation to enhance these so urgently needed now and more tomorrow thinking skills.